Hello everyone, this is Mr.arorora and today I was planning to make a Darth Vader animation tutorial and I was going to use a pre-made model. As you can see, this model I found on SketchUp is leaves so much to desire. Like I was like, "Oh, great. It has already been rigged. We can use it." And I'm like, "Oh no. The rig is not that good. Okay, we can rig it together. Let's first unparent it, then oh my fucking god, sorry for the language, but the model looks good, right? Yeah, go to the edit mode. Okay, we can still save this. We still have a chance. Let's create our rig. Doop 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 doop. Alright, let's extrude there. Let's bring out the arm. And slowly unravel what you're doing and realize what you're about to witness. Make sure that this bone is rotated correctly. In worst case scenario, we will rig it from the beginning, so don't worry guys. We have a lot to uncover. Now let's separate our character and yeah. So, all the times I was saying make sure to create a good model, make sure that it's an animation ready model, and etc, etc, etc. So, I believe the guy who modeled this did a good job on modeling a base mesh, then retopologize it, and only put scraps on Sketchpad. That's what I would like to believe. In worst case scenario, this is the best we got. So we are no better than anybody else to, create our own. So instead of doing that, I decided to scavenge this model, and while doing that, if you made a horrible model yourself, this is the way to fix it. This is the long way. So you basically create loops and negate the triangles the best you can in best of your abilities by selecting all of the faces, turn triangles to quads. However, there's so much to do because the more I unravel this model, the more I realize I should have modeled my own Darth Vader from the beginning. But I decided not to, and this is my stubbornness's result. So I'm not regretting anything I do because it's a good practice for me to, create a model from something out of something. So, yeah. So, along we're going to continue on this tutorial, and at the next episode we will see how to benefit from the already made textures. At least that will help us greatly. And yes, I'm bitching about the model being not that good, so you can say, "Oh, Mr.arorora, you didn't create your own model, so who are you to judge?" I'm judging myself, man. So at least I didn't create the model from scratch, but if you're working on something like this and scrapping somebody else's work, keep this in mind. At least you have internet to search for something better. In worst case scenario, you end up like me. In best case scenario, you find something really good enough to work with. So as you can see, the whole model is made or separated manually. I'm not gonna assume more than I already have. So we're basically touching up the model, and it's going to take us a very long time. So the legs and the torso need to be one piece, and as you can see, there is nothing one piece about this character. I don't know how or why this is made this way, and I don't really even want to know. Like, it was a torture to fix, but if you put your mind to it, you can really get something really good out of this guy. And also, this could be a good lesson on. You're going to expect me to say, oh, you should have made it a good topology, good edge flow, good edge flow. No, what I wanted to talk about is in in a case like this. For example, you made it a good model back in day, like for a few months ago, and you realize, oh, you fucked your model up real good while making it, and it's not standing up to your current standards. So this is a one way to fix it. It's going to take time, but for example, we want to create an animation from this model. So we need to recreate the whole thing from scratch. In some cases, like the arch of the shoulder, the armpit, and you know, the empty parts in the torso. So we need to recreate those and fix up the empty places and make sure that we don't break the sculpt because it is already pre-made. So that's the one thing great about this model. It looks like Darth Vader. So we will use that to our advantage. So this will be our reference, or how can I put it? Silhouette that we need to follow to fix. Also, another quick tip while you're sculpting most of this guy or any model like this, use mirror modifier to at least fix the other half automatically. And if you're really putting in the effort, make sure that you fix up the model and add your own details as well. For example, this character, Darth Vader, he doesn't have too much details on any design we have seen so far. Like, the guy is simple. We need to keep that in mind. And also, the details on the Lord Vader's body and costume or his armor, whatever you would like to call it, has prominent details. For example, his um, air rebreather, or the panels in front of his chest, his chest plate kind of thingy that goes over his shoulders and underneath the cape. So those are prominent yet important details. While we are resculpting this character, we need to make sure that we don't break the sculpt and we don't break the character by trying to fix everything else. So in this kind of tutorial or project you're working on, one thing is for sure, this is a good way to utilize Blender's tools and other unique things about Blender. For example, I use a grid fill there. So in order to use grid fill, Control F and press, it will open a menu and you will select grid fill or beautiful fill faces. But while you're doing that, remember, in order to have a grid fill modifier to work or function to work, you need to have matching numbers of faces. Otherwise it will not work, so make sure that you've done that. We are creating the shoulders now. Make sure that you don't break too much away from the sculpt and keep it inside the other parts. So other parts are going to be our second guide in order to fix that. So when we fix the shoulder like this, it doesn't look good because no shoulder comes like that. But our saving grace is we have a cape. However, we need to still work on the shoulder and fix the proportions as well. If you're committed enough, you need to be committed fully. You can't help as something like this. And if you really want to create a good result from this work, you need to make sure that you give enough topology to your model when you're going to render it. It needs to have at least some amount of faces in order to cover enough sculpture and geometry. And more we work on it, the more I unravel the bullshittery of this model. For example, what the hell? Like, okay, this is a hand, yes, but in what scenario do you really need a hand like this? So, like, yes, it's a choice that you can take and make, but the thing is, if you're already committed enough to create a Darth Vader model, why not at least give the guy fingers, individual fingers. Like, I can't imagine any scenario that could be useful. Maybe if you're going to go for something low poly, like really really low poly, because you have a really bad end computer. However, in today's generation, it's almost impossible to have a really horrible computer like like that. Also, this part is separated too many times, and in order to fix that the fastest way possible, you can either choose vertices that sit next to each other and merge them, or you select all of the vertices and press on merge by distance and make sure that you give it little value, not too much, or you're going to create just a one vertice. We don't want that, and we don't want to lose our shape, so most of the time I go in manually to fix most of the errors in there. Also, using the mirror modifier to its fullest is really a must in this kind of project. Otherwise, you're going to spend too much time, and it might be impossible to recreate something like that because it's already made and we're not doing it from scratch. So, making sure that it is mirrored properly, it's going to be a hell to pull it off. As you can see, that part wasn't connected, so it broke the geometry. That is the reason I always put emphasis on creating good geometry. Otherwise, you're going to suffer along the way while you're modeling. So this is both a practice for me and a good chance to understand why we need good topology to begin with. This is one of the main reasons. Otherwise, if you are working on a project, and it will run into too much problem, like ungodly amounts of problem. Just saying, trust me on this one. Or don't trust me and see it for yourselves. This is the best way I can re-topologize and reshape the model. And as you can see, probably this model was made in earlier generations of Blender, which things are a little bit rougher, and I imported it into a newer version of Blender, and that might also cause problems. So we need to keep that in mind as well, because no modeler is going to step out of their way to give me a good model just because I asked for free or anything like that. So if there's a will, there's a way, and this is how we fix this and how we turn this model into our own. I'm not saying the guy who made this was horrible modeler. I bet he had a better understanding and better purpose than I have at this point. But the point I'm having here is I'm using someone that is looking like a bad example to show in a better way to do how we should approach a project, because probably this was a standalone render project. Like, oh, the Vader was probably at the behind of the scene that don't show up that much and doesn't need to be high poly. Maybe that is one of the reasons. However, in our case, I would like to create a stylized animation. I'm not going to create a animation that's going to take your breath away from you. No. I had a concept in mind, and the concept is the problem with Darth Vader. He's a pathetic character. First, to hear me out. The patheticness came from that he tried to save everything he loved and cared for in the worst possible way. And because of that, the character punishes himself every single moment that he is alive. The whole costume that Anakin Skywalker wears at this point in his life as Darth Vader is the torment himself. The torment every single moment that he breathes and exists, because he thinks that he deserves that. And that is one of the dilemmas of Darth Vader. He believes he deserves this fate, and in many cases, yes, this character make sure that he ruined everything he loved and pushed away every single person that cared for him. And because of that, he deserved punishment. Maybe not like this though. However, this is the best way he deals with it. And as you can see, there are too many problems with face values, and because of that, this creates a lot of problems from texturing to shading. So we need to fix that as well along the way. As you can see, we are giving it more loops, and we are doing it manually because so many parts are triangulated, and some of them are done purposely. So I have to manually go in there and fix it because I'm going to use this model for something else from what is intended to be. So yes, I choose the better of two evils at this scenario because yes, instead of remodeling it from scratch, I decided to, okay, I believe that I can fix this model, and if I do so, this is a good lesson on understanding topology and geometry flow. And at the end of the day, this model is going to be animated, and I'm going to make sure that it has a proper rig, so everything needs to be up to standards. So that will help me understand the geometry and the design, and while fixing these, I can think about how I can improve on these as well. So it gives me the experience that I need. Without experience, we cannot create anything. And if you're going to cry about saying, oh, AI is better and it's going to do these things faster, yes, it's true, I agree, but I'm not going to do these things the easy way. Otherwise, I won't learn anything from this experience. And what's the point of doing this whole thing if I'm not going to learn anything from it? So, to understand that is to understand why we do art. Of course, art going to take time. Yes, the things from AI can be look good. I can't deny that. And it is faster, easier, also true. But I don't aim for the standard that AI gives me. I have a vision of my own, and I have the capabilities of doing my own work myself. Because I don't need a handyman, or in this situation, a slave to do my own work for me. Otherwise, I'll be lazy, and being lazy doesn't bring me anything and doesn't teach me anything. If I rely on AI, I will never be independent. Like, it's like growing up and depending on your parents to do everything for you. If I rely on AI, and if something happens to AI, then how can I do anything without it? How can I achieve anything without it? I either use it as a tool to help me out, or I don't. That's the thing. I have the ability and capability of doing things. And I earned this skill. I came to this point. I'm not saying to boost my ego. I'm not saying these to boost my ego, no. I'm saying these because most of us need some realization about this. And you don't have to listen to me as well. But this is my own truth that I believe. And if you're here, maybe maybe I'll be enough to give you an inspiration or give you an idea, or I'll be the little push that you need to start your own journey of creation in Blender, in Maya, in ZBrush, or in 2D drawing, digital art, anything that makes you feel good, that you enjoy doing. And if that's true, then I have achieved my goal. And there's not much to explain here because I'm doing repetition as well. The repetition that I'm fixing the model, separating the parts that is problematic, but at the same time I'm trying to keep the model close as possible to its original form and shape, and trying to keep it low, how can I say it, low polygon model, because this is a low polygon model and I don't really need a huge, amazingly detailed model. I just need a low poly model that can work for my project, because my polygon count doesn't matter at the end of the day, because I'm going to turn this character into a stylized character, like Spider-Verse or Puss in Boots, the last movie that came out. Like, I would like to give it my own spin. And the concept we are going to create in animation is, like I mentioned before, I'm sorry for explaining myself a bit, how can I put it, bit unorganized, but the thing is, what I have in mind is, I'm going to have Vader sitting in his meditation chamber, and I'm going to take some angles while the character we made is sitting and slowly trying to focus and meditate. However, the voices that in his head keep whispering to his ear. Anakin, like Padme screaming his name, Anakin, Obi-Wan screaming, Anakin, and at some point, the one thing that keeps Vader going, that he doesn't let go of the pain he has. If he had let go of that pain, he would have moved on and maybe find his way to the light side. I cannot say it for sure because George Lucas decided to sell his property to Disney and watch it burn. And that's another problem we have. Big companies creating good character stories, and just to earn more money, they kill their stories, their character, and their passion, just to earn a few more bucks. And we can see this trend in almost anywhere. Even it's not a recent move. It's been happening ever since 90s or 80s, 70s. Just to earn more money, we sell our souls. And AI is a new extension of that. So, I was complaining about this guy having 3 fingers, so the way to fix that is something like this. You either delete the whole hand and do it from scratch, or you can copy me and try to salvage much as you can. And also, while doing that, make sure that at least give your hand proper geometry, because these fingers are going to bend and crawl. I mean, the Vader is going to close up his fist, right? So, if you have too little polygon count, it is going to look like you're folding a paper. We don't want that. So we need to distribute our loops evenly and proportionally while doing that. Also, we need to separate these 3 fingers and rejoin them back into the hand, and we need to make sure that we have enough geometry, and yeah, we need enough geometry to put those back in there. So you will see me do that, and you will see me try to fix the rest of the model. So today's episode is just that, and that's all from me for now. So I will just be here and work with you guys. Alright, that's all from Mr. Aurora. Thank you all for joining me in this session. And if you enjoyed my content, thank you so much for being here. And if you didn't, well, we can't all be, how can I say it, pop stars, I guess. We don't always have to like everything we see. So thank you all for being here. This was Mr. Aurora. Hopefully see you in the next episode, guys and girls. So stay awesome, take care, bye.